Bellmead Parks and Recreation Board to order on Monday, January 27th at 5 p.m. For the record, all board members are present except for Glenda Poulter and Katrina Forrest. Welcome, everyone. We will begin our meeting with the invocation, and I'll ask that Iris to please come to the podium and give invocation and lead us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand, please. Dear God, we come to you this evening with just thanking you, God, for just another day's journey. Now, God, as we go through this meeting, we ask that you be with us and guide us and give us a good meeting for this afternoon. We thank you in advance, God, and we love you and we magnify your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Iris. Acknowledgement of guests, visitors, public comment. This is a time for citizens to address the Parks and Recreation Board on issues and items of concern that are not on the agenda. Citizens will be allowed to comment time on the requested agenda item. There will be no board discussion or action at this time. There's a time limit of 3 minutes per person. Personal attacks on board members or staff will not be tolerated. Doing so will forfeit your remaining time. Persons engaged in disruptive behavior will be escorted from the meeting. Have I received any comment cards to address the board? None? All right, we'll move to the regular agenda. First thing on the agenda is consider approval of the October 21st, 2024 Parks and Recreation Board minutes. If y'all please review that, and if y'all have any questions. If not, we'll entertain a motion for those if they're all good.
I'll make a motion to pass the minutes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Will the city secretary please poll the board?
Can you tell me who seconded that? Who seconded that?
Pick one of them, they both did.
Okay,
Mary Frances.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Iris?
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Bainbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Miles,
Yes.
Ms. Carline,
Yes.
and Ms. Story. Okay, motion passes.
All right, moving on to item 2, discussion of cancellation of the 2025 Bellmead Burgers and Brews Festival. Welcome, Corey, to the podium.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, council members, board members. We'll first discuss this evening the cancellation of the Bellmead Burgers and Brews Festival, an event that, after thoughtful consideration, will not be held this next year. As many of you know, the Bellmead Burgers and Brews Festival has been an annual event for 4 years, and now the city has made the difficult decision to discontinue. The 2024 Bellmead Burgers and Brews Festival on November 9th, 2024, at the Civic Center, saw limited attendance despite our promotional efforts. The event was held from 12 to 5 p.m., and although we utilized multiple advertising channels, social media, flyers, street banners, and a radio campaign, the turnout was approximately 150, 200 individuals, which was much lower than hoped in light of the time, effort, the expense put into it. So, on December 17th, representatives from various city departments came together to evaluate the event. The main focus of this evaluation became the costs, labor hours required to put on the event in relation to the turnout. Unfortunately, it became clear that the resources and the expenses were not proportionate to the modest attendance. So taking a closer look at the numbers, in 2024, we recorded approximately 112 staff hours contributed by multiple city departments. These were directly in setup, facilitation, and teardown of the event. This does not account for significant administrative planning, coordination by mainly the Parks and Rec Department preparing for the festival. As most of you know, and some of you joined in, we also have the Citizen Committee this year putting in their effort. And costs in total, the city incurred over $8,000 in 2024, which was an adjustment made for 2024. In 2023, the total costs for the event exceeded $30,000 with a similar turnout. This one lasted until 9 p.m. And so the city scaled back costs, time frame, and layout for 2024 in response to that. And this year's results were still not sufficient to justify continuing the event in its current form. And then in our packet, there is those costs for those 4 years. The vendor feedback also provides input into the evaluation of the event. The easiest vendors to get on board are the beer vendors. They seem to think that there's not enough craft beer oriented events for them. And so even this, however, they did mention that they wish that there was more business being made that day. So even the beer vendors who are the most appreciated for the opportunity sort of expressed a little bit of disappointment. So in light of this feedback, the costs incurred, and of course the modest attendance over the last couple of years, the city has made the decision to not hold the Bellmead Burgers and Brews Festival in 2025. I understand that this decision may be a disappointment. We feel it's a necessary step to reassess and to continue to ensure that our resources are used in ways that better serve the community. So I appreciate everyone's efforts over the years and this year in making the event a reality. Certainly interested in exploring other ways to engage the community and support local in the future. So thanks for your time on this, and I'm happy to take any questions and discuss this further.
Is this a temporary setback, maybe, canceling it for 2025?
It's a decision for 2025. It's an indefinite decision. So, go back to the drawing board. It won't happen in 2025, and again, we'll see where the resources are best utilized in engaging the community in that way.
I know that I'm appreciative of the city and everybody that took part in it to try to make it happen. I wished it would have been something great. We can't force people to be there, but maybe we can find something other different in the future to do to provide to our citizens.
Well, what if we consider changing locations? Everything that we have at Bryan Park the people seem to be able to come to those things more readily, I guess, because of where it's at. If they don't know about it, they see it and they'll stop.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not as much
Yeah.
traffic over at the community center.
I think.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's a
not the
thought.
exact same type of event,
Mm-hmm.
but something similar in the future.
I think it's something we all kick our brains around and think of something other than bring, to the board, to the city, and hey, these are some possible ideas. I'd like to see some sort of successful festival event happen here, but they're hard to build and they're costly too.
Yep. That was the consideration here. We put a lot of costs into it, effort, and just hadn't been turning out. So new location. There's plenty of it's kind of just back to the drawing board, and we'll reassess and worth thinking about, that next best use of our resources towards bringing the public out, celebrating, engaging.
Any other questions or comments? If there's no further discussion, we'll move on to item number 3. Item 3 is discussion of the non-renewal of the Lions Park use agreement in 2025, and Corey has a presentation for us on that.
Correct. So essentially, on January 6th, 2025, this year, the president of La Vega Baseball and Softball Association notified me that they would not be renewing the use agreement for 2025. I had provided Mr. Romero with a copy of this next year's use agreement. This was on November 15th, 2024, and an invitation to meet and sign it. A little later, a meeting was held at the Civic Center. This was December 19th. Mr. Romero mentioned that they were considering alternative facility options for the next year. And so finally, yes, it was January 6th that he communicated that decision that they would not renew for this year in 2025. The term of the last agreement, 2024, ended on December 31st. So since then, LVBSA has vacated the premises. They've removed all their property. Locks have been replaced. Our park staff have begun the process of cleaning, starting to maintain the fields and the facilities for future use, including winter overseeding of those fields. So issues worth attention took place during their transition out here in late December, and these were in violations of the use agreement. And so some of these include the dismantling of the batting cage. So, and this is pictured here. You can see a picture of how it was and how it currently is. Removal of the netting, most of the turf flooring. This is in violation of Section 6 of the use agreement. It states that any improvement made to the facility remains property of the city. Okay, we'll do next. A non-frontier dumpster. They utilized another dumpster, which is not authorized. And in addition, so these happened in late December. In addition to these issues during the out process, over the course of 2024, LVBSA faced ongoing difficulties in complying with the use agreement. So these include, next, kind of go with this. Litter and grounds maintenance. On several occasions, litter was not properly managed. Trash bins were left full. There was also insufficient groundskeeping, including failure to maintain clean edges and weed-free fencing. These are violations of Section 7, which designates litter control and mowing as the responsibility of LVBSA during the season. So one of those pictures included, anyway, you could have seen some vegetation that was allowed to grow along fences. And this is after considerable clearing of all this last summer. Let's see next. Parking on the grass, despite the clear signage, even in the pictures here. Participants frequently, repeatedly parked on the grass. This violated Section 7 of the agreement, prohibits parking on the grass. Next, please. Unauthorized signage. They posted signage at the facility without obtaining proper approval. Violates Section 6, which clearly states that Signage needs approval, written approval. Next, please. The trash, as I mentioned. Next, please. Next, please. Great, thanks. One more to note that's not pictured, improper use of field lights. The field lights were used for maintenance purposes at night. This happened at least once. It goes against the intended use outlined in Section 5 of the agreement, and the city pays 100% of the energy bills of that facility. And then another one, a third-party vendor, they hosted a third-party vendor without authorization, violates Section 14 that prohibits subletting the benefits of the agreement. So moving on, in response to these issues and the decision by LVBSA not to renew the use agreement, Parks and Recreation is now exploring other options for the use of Lions Park. We're actively considering new possibilities for how the park can be utilized to its best moving forward. We'll continue to gather feedback, explore possibilities. We'll provide updates to the board as we move forward with these plans. So, La Vega Baseball Softball Association, they have decided not to renew this use agreement in 2025. There have been several violations over the past year, and now we are working to identify new opportunities for the park's use. So thank you for your attention on this one. Happy to hear your discussion and any questions.
Do we have any questions by the board?
Does that mean there's no La Vega Little League baseball or softball this next season?
That means that it's not on our facility, but I am there. Yeah, I am aware that they are still taking registrations. I've found alternative facility. Now I'm not in the know. I have no sort of supported knowledge of where they're moving to, but they're still.
La Vega Little League not being at the Lions Park, but they've got alternative uses elsewhere.
I mean, of course.
Coming from somebody from La Vega, just doesn't sound right. I mean, I understand, but I'm gonna do some digging myself. You know, to
Well, the agreement that was there was fair
yeah,
amongst
totally.
everybody. I mean, I went through with it, the fine tooth comb, everything. So, I mean, we provided them with everything that they needed. If they chose to if they chose to leave, that's on them. I mean, now it's up to the city to, maintain and keep them good, that we can offer tournaments, et cetera, rental usage of the ballpark or ball fields.
Yes, yeah. They're, they're currently, there's currently fees in place for them to be rented for practices and use. And, we'll continue to kind of look into how we can make that facility, ready for its best use moving forward.
Is there still a lot of maintenance that needs to be done? I mean, I guess like the netting they took the netting and all of that, or, is there still a lot of maintenance that the city has to do to?
There's maintenance for sure. And what's happening right now is just gathering some information. I can, my office has been in contact with tournament organizers and leagues to just sort of get an idea of what are the priorities, what sort of baseline, and then moving forward. And so, yes, the fields will require maintenance of good quality playing surface, and then other priorities as we continue to work out the possibilities and gather
Coming from
information.
somebody that's played on those fields, it's just hard to not see a little league, softball or baseball, either one, playing on those fields, and it's just like, what can we do, if anything, to get them back? Just
Well, most of the problem wasn't us anyway.
No, I totally get that. I
The
totally
only way they could come back over here would be to actually comply to the contract. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
know.
totally,
You understand.
totally agree. And of course, they're gonna make it look like, well, City of
sure they've
Bellmead
made it
doesn't
look
want
like
us
it's the
playing there
city's fault.
because they
Yeah.
want blah, blah. But you know, it
We
takes
have the-
two.
the contract was pretty much the same as other cities are using for their leagues, so.
No,
Where
I
could that
totally agree with
possibly-
what you're saying. I'm not disputing
I know.
anything. It's just hard.
I know,
You
it
know.
is. I lived down there by it for years, so, yeah, I know.
Any further discussion on this item? Okay, then we'll move to number 4, discussion of the Parks Memorial Program and the first planted trees.
Yes, thanks. So lastly, we'll be discussing what I'll call the initial momentum of the Parks Memorial Program. Yes, specifically highlighting the first trees that have been planted as part of the initiative. As has been subject of past meetings, the Parks Memorial Program is a new initiative that offers individuals the opportunity to memorialize loved ones in a lasting way while also enhancing our community's green spaces. I'm pleased to report that the first trees from this program have been successfully planted. During the first 2 weeks of December 2024, our parks maintenance staff worked to plant a total of 7 live oak trees. 6 of these are located at Lions Park, the Civic Center grounds, and those locations are in the packet, as well as 1 planted at Dvorsky Park. So these trees were made possible through the generosity of donors who contributed in honor of Joe Bess Campbell, a Texas Public Utilities Commissioner and an individual who dedicated much of her life to public service. In lieu of flowers, her family encouraged donations toward the planting of trees in Bellmead, kicking off this Memorial Parks program. So each tree will be accompanied by a metal memorial marker, metal stake memorial marker, which will honor Joe Campbell and recognize the donors who contributed to the program. To ensure the health and longevity of the trees to the very best of our ability, they're planted with root stimulator, covered with a circle of mulch, and provided with wind bracing as they take root. Since planting, the trees have been watered bi-weekly to ensure that they're properly established. Breeze protection has also been a consideration in some of these cold snaps we've had. We're also in process of coordinating a ceremony to formally honor Joe Bess Campbell and the donors of the trees. This ceremony will include the Campbell family and those who contributed to the program. And currently we're in discussions about scheduling the event either this spring or in November. November would be close to Miss Campbell's birthday. So the program's in place, and looking ahead, the Parks Memorial Program offers several options for individuals who wish to make memorial donations to the parks. These options are included there in the packet, but the options of tree, rose bush, and a bench provide a variety of ways for the public to contribute to the parks, creating lasting tributes and sort of embracing the parks and the community. So the first of the trees in the program have been successfully planted. It's off to a strong start. We're thankful for the generosity of these initial donors in honor of Joe Campbell. And as we continue along this program, we're excited to offer continuing opportunities to individuals to contribute to our parks. And once again, happy to answer questions, provide any additional information, and hear further discussion.
Do any board members have any questions?
The one that's at Dvorsky Park, I'm assuming it's this one.
That's the one. Mm-hmm.
What is it? What's on the, do you know what's on the marker there?
I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. That marker is not specific to the tree.
Oh,
It is
okay.
specific to the dedication of the park.
Oh, okay. They just happened to plant the tree
Yes.
there. Okay.
Yes, the marker.
I didn't know there was one over there
There,
like
there
that.
was a marker already there.
Okay.
That's right. The marker
didn't
was
know
already there. We planted it behind the marker. In fact, there was a tree there that had long since died
Oh, okay.
and fell over this spring. So
That makes sense.
now there's a new tree there.
Okay. I've never been over to
It's,
that park except to drive by
It's
it.
about, that marker's for, Mr. Dvorsky. I can't think of his name, the full name.
Russell's dad?
Billy.
Yeah,
Okay,
Russell's
I don't
dad.
know his name.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, it's for
I
him.
could see that.
Yeah, it's for him.
Yeah.
I usually can call it right off.
I don't. I just know Russell.
I mean, to note those photos, I mean, they're just sort of I don't know, just a revelation of the process. It's a hole, we dig a hole, and the wind bracing, I guess, is sort of
Yeah.
an important part of making sure they stay up in those first years.
Is there any further discussion on this item? Do thank you for your time, Corey, and updating all of that.
Thank you.
There being no further business, this meeting of the Belmead Parks and Recreation Board is hereby adjourned at 5:26 PM.